Over the past couple years, I have participated in a lot of game jams. I completed all of them, scoring above average on most of them, and as I was entering my last Secret Santa game jam, it brought a question to mind. Is game development really that hard? Yeah. So let me just tell you about the Secret Santa game jam. It was a game jam structured like a Secret Santa, and you have an entire month to complete your game. But it's a game jam. People in regular game jams drop out all the time, and that happened to me. I joined the jam. I got a letter. They asked for a horror game. I was super excited. I had a really great idea, and I had an entire month to complete this project. Around a week and a half in, I got a message saying that this person dropped out of the jam. I switched over to a new person, and about a week and a half later, they also dropped out of the jam. I was considering just not doing the jam, but I felt bad that somebody was out there and they didn't have somebody making the game for them, right? So I decided to switch over, and this person asked for a hyper specific idea for their game, and it didn't really give me a lot of room for creativity. They asked for a game where you play as a merchant and you go and you do merchant stuff and you sell stuff and you build a store, and they asked it to be 2D and they asked it to be top down or whatever, like really specific. I didn't really want to do it, so I decided I'm going to make it 3D. I'm going to continue with the merchant idea. In my mind, the game would have been pretty easy to code, and I was going to spend like a single day, maybe 2 days, coding the logic for the game, and then that would give me the rest of the time to work on 3D models and animation, because that's something that I've been wanting to get into recently. And then I started working on the code, and it quickly got away from me. It's not that I started adding in things, it was that the complexity of the systems were more complex than what I had thought, and it ended up taking me 5 days to complete the basis of the code. But I had like 2 days, a day and a half. So at the end of the week, I'll just let them know, hey, I haven't made anything like concrete yet. So I will continue working on this game. And then once I am complete, I'll send it off to you. But here's an early build of it. And then the jam ended. I sent off the game and I got no response. I didn't get anything. I didn't know if he played the game or if he even got the game. So I was just sitting there, just like, man, I spent a week working on this game for somebody who I don't even know if they played it or not. So I had spent a month working on these random projects just for it to not go anywhere. It was really demotivating. And something else that happened around this time was, I don't know if probably a lot of you don't know, I don't hide this fact. Whenever somebody leaves a comment or something and says like, oh, great video, great job on the editing, is really highly polished. I didn't edit the video. I have an editor. The editor, he had not been seeing the growth that he wanted coming from the YouTube channel, because we were sort of in the YouTube channel as a partnership. I had a talk with him, and he let me know that if nothing happened in terms of viewership or growth, that he was going to leave at the end of the year. He was extremely helpful. I wasn't upset with him leaving, but it was another factor in feeling really demotivated. I had recently also gotten into contact with other game developers, and these other game developers had been using Unity for a long time, 7 years plus, and I saw myself and I thought, I'm decent at coding, but coding is literally just one aspect of game development. And to me, I thought it was the most important. But after talking to these people and seeing what they could do in the engine, I realized that I had a huge gap in knowledge with game development. I just didn't know a lot of stuff. I had a failed game jam. My editor was quitting, and I was sort of grounded back to the reality that I don't know a lot about game development. And it feels like it's a huge uphill battle. The game that I had been working on up until this point, Tower Quest, really, I haven't really touched the Tower Quest game got stalled because really I was intimidated by the inventory system. So I stopped working on the Tower Quest game to work on an inventory system for a different game, and I could do it. But the reason why I couldn't do it in the Tower Quest game was because I was so intimidated by the process of thinking, man, I have to make this entire system. How am I possibly going to be able to do that? But I could do it in the Game Jam game because that was just a Game Jam game. It wasn't this big Steam release project that I was working on. It was just a Game Jam. The amount of things that I have to learn and that I have to work on in order to release a Steam game is too much. And then the scope for Tower Quest is huge. Like if you watch that devlog 1.5, I was talking about crazy systems, and code-wise, maybe I could make it, but maybe I can't. And it's not just about code, right? It's not just the code that is holding me back. And I'm feeling really demotivated. Like I'm wanting to quit game development. It would be really easy to say, I'm going to quit game development right now. But I still think it's something that I can do. And despite all these setbacks and things holding me back personally, like mentally, maybe it's not the best idea to work on a Steam release of this magnitude in Tower Quest. So I'm not going to be working on Tower Quest anymore. And that's the big news. If I'm being completely honest, making these YouTube videos is a big time investment. Also, that doesn't really work towards the goal of releasing a game, of being a game developer. So the other big news is that I'm also stepping away from making YouTube videos the way that I have been making them. I'm just not going to focus on making a YouTube video first. I'm going to be focusing on making a game, and then I'll make a YouTube video out of it. But I decided to work on that smaller project of the merchant game, and that game is going to be my new project. And instead of trying to build this big scope of what the merchant game is, I want to focus on learning new skills and filling in that knowledge gap that I have with game development and Unity. And that's going to be the main focus of that project, not really building something huge or something super like wild. I want to learn 3D. I want to learn animating. I want to learn the Unity engine more in depth. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm switching over to a new project, the merchant game. Don't have a solid name for it yet, the Tower Quest merchant game. But the tentative name, I think I said it as Valor's Vendor Voyage. You're going to be playing as a merchant and making stuff and selling stuff. And hopefully I don't quit this project too. If you watched my 2-year game development journey, you'll probably notice the fact that I tend to like step off from a lot of projects. So I hope that I do come back to Tower Quest in the future. Still have really cool ideas for that. By the way, for the last couple of months, I've actually been working on a podcast for YouTube game development. So if you want to check that out, if you want to check me out on there, go check out Overscoped. So first link in the description. Check it out and you know, subscribe and listen to us on whatever. It's on Spotify too, I think. Maybe. Okay, bye.